She was ousted as the DNC chair in the middle of the 2016 presidential campaign. Now she has this former staffer who was indicted while he was still on her payroll on 4 counts for bank fraud and making false statements. As you mentioned, Imran Awan, her former IT aide, he's insisted through his attorney he is innocent and that he was targeted because he's Muslim. But he and his wife were indicted last August, about a month after Wasserman Schultz's aide was arrested at Dulles Airport trying to board a plane to Pakistan. His wife had already fled with several $1,000s in cash, and the FBI says the couple had already wired almost $300,000 back home to Pakistan. Awan, his wife, and other relatives collected at least $4 million in taxpayer money since 2009, working for various House Democrats, most of whom fired Awan in February 2017 amid questions of double billing and alleged equipment theft. The whole family was barred from using the House network. But here it gets interesting. For some reason, Wasserman Schultz did not fire him until months later, July of 2017, when he got arrested, insisting he provided other services that did not involve the House network. And she got quite agitated when the Capitol Police did not return her tech equipment that was being looked at. Now, Republicans like Ron DeSantis, who's been probing this matter, have also been puzzled about the fact that Awan family members got paid 6-figure salaries by taxpayers and were possibly not even showing up for some of that work. One family member apparently drawing another salary from McDonald's, yes, McDonald's, while other family members were running what was called a fake car rental outfit. Listen.
Was there some underlying reason why the Awans were basically given free rein to run a scheme inside the Congress where they're getting paid for no-show jobs and they have basically unadulterated access to these members' servers?
Under my understanding, the Capitol Police is not able to confiscate members' equipment when the member is not under investigation.
If that in fact is the case, and with the permission of through the investigation, then we'll return the equipment. But until that's accomplished, I can't return the equipment.
I think you're violating the rules when you conduct your business that way, and should expect that there would be consequences.
Consequences, she said. She may get more agitated at the fact that now there are reports there's going to be a plea deal with the Justice Department with the couple. We don't know what they're going to tell prosecutors, but the bottom line is that Wasserman Schultz has previously said this whole story is being pushed by Republicans to divert attention away from, yes, Russian meddling in the 2016 campaign. Martha.
Interesting. Ed, thank you very much. So joining me now, Byron York, chief political correspondent for the Washington Examiner and a Fox News contributor, and Mark Penn, president and managing partner of the Stagwell Group, and he served obviously as a pollster for the Clintons. This is interesting, and what Debbie Wasserman Schultz just said is has been written about a lot. Politico wrote a piece saying that several hardline conservatives and right-wing bloggers have seized on the conspiracy theories related to the investigation, claiming that Awan had access to Wasserman Schultz's emails while she was chairwoman of the Democratic National Committee, and that he, not Russia, was behind the leak of thousands of DNC emails during the election. What do you think about that theory, Byron?
Well, as Ed was just talking about, her saying that perhaps this was being used to divert attention from the Trump-Russia matter, I think the Trump-Russia matter has diverted attention from this. It's really a very big deal, and the whole the Pakistani angle, the fact of wiring so much money to Pakistan, being caught at the airport, and really the kind of ferocious loyalty of Debbie Wasserman Schultz to her staffer, even after a number of other Democrats had backed away big time and they'd been accused of crimes. A lot of this stuff just doesn't seem to add up.
Yeah, I mean, it's, when you go back and you look at it, Mark, and you think about those days during the DNC, and her emails start trickling out, and, everybody wants to know where the server is. They never turn the server over, and now she's protecting him. She is accusing other people of, of having some sort of bias against him because he's from Pakistan. What goes through your mind when you watch all this thing? What are your questions?
Well, look, first I have to say, we can't rush to judgment in the absence of really having an understanding of the facts. But the truth of the matter is, we don't know whether or not this couple and family that had access to a lot of Democratic email, whether or not they were doing something wrong with that. And what we need to know is that any plea deal will include full disclosure of all these facts and either give some credence to some of these theories or refute them definitively. I think that's what we're entitled to, and that's what we don't have right now.
So, Byron, we don't know what they're going to do in this plea deal or why they're taking a plea deal, but that's somewhat surprising.
Well, yeah, it is, and here again, they were captured this whole bank fraud angle here, and the political aspect of it. And President Trump is saying perhaps this is a key to all sorts of other things. Not sure we can see how that exactly works. But this is something that affected a lot of Democrats in the Senate, in the House, and this group of people around Imran Awan were paid a lot of money, very high-end House salaries for apparently doing very, very little. I mean, it's a really mysterious
Yeah, that's
case.
What's weird. I mean, she continued to keep them on the payroll. They continued to be paid by the taxpayer. And, here's something from a piece that looked at this a while back. Capitol Police say they tossed Imran and his associates off the House network after he provided them with fraudulent data of what was supposed to be a copy of the data on the House Democratic Caucus server. A server that Imran was accessing against House rules as he moved data for the many Democrats in the House and he and his associates worked for reasons that we don't know. So, I mean, Mark, you look at this, you go back, as I said, to those days, and it's very curious.
Well, that's right. I mean, they had access, clearly, to tons of Democratic email. There are clearly a lot of questions about why they were kept on the payroll. The funding and finances here are really bizarre. All of this is bizarre. I don't want to get over my skis here and create a whole conspiracy theory. We shouldn't do that. But we should demand these facts because there are a lot of questions here about the kind of access they had and what they could have done that could be a real key to this whole puzzle.
Hopefully we're going to learn a lot as this process plays out, because as you guys point out, it's weird and there's a lot of questions. Byron, thank you very much. Mark Penn, always a pleasure. Thank you.
Debbie Wasserman Schultz, disgraced information technology aide, is now set to strike a plea deal, apparently, with federal prosecutors. That's right, a plea deal. A hearing has been set for July 3rd following 7 delays in that case over the past 6 months alone. Awan and his wife face conspiracy and bank fraud charges, transferring money from the Congressional Federal Credit Union to Pakistan before trying to flee the country. And joining me now is one of the reporters who has been at the forefront of this story, reporting from the outset. Daily Caller investigative report. Luke Rosiak joins us here tonight. Luke, great to see you. And again, terrific reporting. This case is one of the most frustrating things to witness because it's inexplicable. The delays, the peculiar posture that's been assumed by the prosecutors and the defendants in this case, and the role of the former DNC head, Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz.
Well, here's how you explain it, Lou. This is about rigging the 2016 election. There was a second hack that occurred the same week that the DNC was breached. The same week that WikiLeaks started putting up those DNC emails, the House of Representatives Inspector General briefed authorities that there was this ongoing hack by Pakistanis who the Democrats has hired as IT guys. And ordinarily they would have been arrested on the bat, obviously. But think about it, that Russian narrative that they just decided to start pitching that very week, you know how tenuous it is, how backed by nothing it is. You throw into the mix arrests of Pakistanis hired by Democrats and unvetted for a similar hack at the identical time. The narrative about Russia would have been impossible to secure. And as you know, that's all they care about is the narrative.
Yeah.
So
and what's interesting in this, amongst the many things that are interesting, fascinating, intriguing, and frustrating, is where is the Justice Department now? Why in the world aren't we hearing about this from Jeff Sessions? Why aren't we hearing about it from a Republican led Justice Department? And where in the world is Debbie Wasserman Schultz, and how has she been given immunity? Is Awan somehow, has he been in some way co-opted by forces that are dark and sinister in the deep state? What is going on?
What it is that the handling of this case disproves the entire Russian narrative. Democrats don't care about hacking. They don't care about foreign meddling. What they did in this case is decide to knowingly allow the United States government to be hacked by Pakistanis for 6 months until right after the election so that they could peddle a phony Russian narrative. That we know that they would go to any lengths to smear Donald Trump with this Russian narrative, but this is worse than we ever could have imagined. What the Democrats did here is treason. They allowed the United States to continuously be hacked by these bad guys so that they could spin this Russian narrative, because you couldn't have it both ways. If they arrested these guys, it's all over the media, and say bye-bye to any Russian narrative. At that point, it just becomes ridiculous for the Democrats. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me 10 times, shame on the Democrats for being completely negligent with their IT getting hacked again and again due to their extreme negligence. This is by unvetted Muslims who came over through chain migration. This would have been the October surprise that would have ensured a victory by Donald Trump, and the House of Representatives withheld that knowledge from voters and
Debbie
put
Wasserman
the
Schultz
nation at risk in the process.
And Debbie Wasserman Schultz, at the forefront of it all, as the person who also made it possible because she was in charge for the Russians, quote unquote, to hack the DNC servers and somehow convince the FBI that they should not bother the DNC with a little matter of national security like having their servers hacked. Everyone, by the way, when you heard Luke say that they were unvetted, not a single one of the 44 House Democrats who hired these Pakistani IT aides, not a one of them conducted background checks on the folks who were basically running a ghost employee scheme. And we're going to be following it, and I would like, Luke, very much if you would join us here to tell us what's going on with this case. A plea deal. Are they trying once again, they being this government and this administration now in charge of the Justice Department, surely they would not be a party to concealing and putting this thing so deep that it wouldn't see the light of day.
No, they are. The DOJ under Jeff Sessions is covering up a scandal that exposes the entire Russian narrative as a hoax. It is within Jeff Sessions' power to demolish this Russian narrative once and for all, charge the Pakistanis with hacking Congress, and exposing Democrats' hypocrisy and negligence. He has a list of witnesses, and his FBI is refusing to interview them. We've got the FBI refusing to accept evidence from witnesses. The evidence in this, they talk about, is it bank fraud, is it this or that? They have all the goods. It's in the server logs. This case is open and shut, and Jeff Sessions is refusing to bring the charges.
Thank you, God bless you, and God bless America.